All right, folks, it's Friday, 15th of August, and after a quiet spell, we're diving headfirst into what promises to be a very eventful weekend for Celtic. No video yesterday? Yeah, I'll hold my hands up. Sometimes the news cycle just takes a wee nap, and instead of forcing it, I took the time to rest up, reset, and now we're back fully recharged. And just as well, because there's plenty to unpack before we even get to tonight's League Cup clash under the lights at Celtic Park. Let's start with the man at the helm, Brendan Rodgers. He held his pre-match press conference yesterday. And to be fair, he was in cracking form. Relaxed, open, even cracking a few jokes. It's the most lively and engaged he's looked in front of the press in a good wee while. And you could tell the difference. Maybe it's the pressure of the transfer window winding down. Maybe it's the anticipation of the Champions League playoff, or maybe, just maybe, it's the heat he experienced on the touchline last weekend that got him thinking twice about wearing a tie ever again. Rodgers was first asked about the upcoming European tie against Kairat, and if you've been following closely, you'll know this isn't exactly a hop across the channel. The trip to Kazakhstan is no joke. 8 hours on a plane, crossing continents, ending up in a place where the local kickoff is at 9:45 at night. That's right. When Celtic take the pitch for the second leg, it'll be approaching midnight over there if it goes to extra time. The manager hinted that he'd much rather have faced a team based a couple hours away in Bratislava. Can't really blame him for that, can you? For fans back in Scotland, it'll be a lovely early evening kickoff. For anyone watching from Australia or other far-flung corners of the globe, maybe not so convenient, but hey, we've done this dance before. It's not the first time Celtic are trekking to Kazakhstan, and it likely won't be the last. Now, here's something that's come up more than once. Why is Kazakhstan even in UEFA? It's a Central Asian country, isn't it? Technically, yes, but geopolitics and football don't always run in parallel. Kazakhstan has a small portion of its territory in Eastern Europe, and that sliver is enough to make them eligible for UEFA competitions. They switched over from the Asian Football Confederation back in 2002. Looking for more competitive fixtures and bigger exposure. The downside is, of course, is that teams like Celtic now have to make these marathon journeys for what's officially a European fixture. Still, there's experience in the squad when it comes to trips like these. Brendan Rodgers himself has already taken Celtic to Kazakhstan twice during his first spell at the club. And you've got guys like James Forrest. This will be his 5th time heading out that way. Callum McGregor's been there too. Even Scotland played there not long ago. And let's not bring up that result, shall we? Speaking of logistics, Rodgers gave a bit of insight into the man behind the curtain. Brendan O'Neill, Celtic's first team operations manager. The guy who handles the travel arrangements, makes sure the hotel's sorted, meals are timed, clocks are changed. And yes, that's not a joke. The last time Celtic went to Kazakhstan, they literally had the hotel change every clock to British time. Players were eating meals at 3 in the morning local time because it aligned with their body clock back home. Strange? Maybe? Effective? Apparently so. Rodgers seems likely to go with the same plan this time around. But of course, all of that only really matters if Celtic handle their business at home. First legs at Celtic Park. And if the job gets done here, the return trip becomes less of a stress and more of a formality. But we all know how this goes. It's Celtic. There are no formalities in Europe, not anymore. On the squad front, there's been plenty of talk. The deadline to register the 25-man list for the tie against Kairat passed last night. And while UEFA hadn't published the squad yet at the time Rodgers spoke, we can make some fairly educated guesses. One important note though, Celtic still have the ability to add up to 2 more players before Tuesday night. That's if they want to, provided they take 2 out as well. It's a strict 1 in 1 out policy. Rodgers was asked about that. And interestingly enough, used the word hopefully. Now, that might not seem like much, but for anyone who's watched his recent interviews, that's a shift. He's been pretty distant on transfer matters lately, often saying he doesn't know what's going on or pushing questions towards the recruitment team. So when he says hopefully some fans get excited, maybe it means there's movement happening behind the scenes, maybe there's a name or two getting close, or maybe, and this is just as likely, he's genuinely just hoping something materializes. Either way, the clock's ticking. Transfers have been a mixed bag lately. Some come out of nowhere. Just look at Jamari Simpson Pugh. Barely a whisper about him. And suddenly he's signing the dotted line. So while it might feel quiet now, we've learned not to rule anything out in the final stretch of the window. Elsewhere, there's been murmurs around Dyson Maeda, rumors swirling that he could be on the move. Brentford's name keeps popping up, and while nothing's concrete, the whispers are getting louder. Rodgers, for his part, didn't seem too fazed. Said he was confident, or as confident as you can be in football, that Maeda is staying put. Contract talks are supposedly happening in the background, though there's no real update there either. And then there's the question of where Maeda fits into the lineup. Rodgers was asked whether Dyson might feature more centrally this season, and while he didn't give a definitive answer, he also didn't shut the door. Truth is, Maeda can play through the middle. He did it last season and did it well, but ideally Rodgers sees him out on the left. That's where he's at his most dangerous. The bigger issue, perhaps, is who else is fit and available. With O struggling a bit, some are calling for Maeda to step up centrally. But then, who fills in on the wing? It's all a bit of a puzzle, the kind that depends on what reinforcements, if any, arrive before that Tuesday night deadline. Meanwhile, tonight brings us back to domestic action. Premier Sports Cup last 16 under the lights against Falkirk. A rare Friday night game at Celtic Park. And yes, that is rare. If memory serves, the last proper Friday night match here was a 5-0 win over Dundee back in 2015. Near Bitton scored an absolute screamer that night. And in a funny twist of fate, Scott Bain was in goal for Dundee back then. And he'll be in goal for Falkirk tonight. Bain's not the only familiar face in that Falkirk side. Calvin Miller, once tipped for a breakthrough under Rodgers during his first spell, is part of the squad. Scott Arfield, formerly of the other side of Glasgow, is there too. And then there's Brian Graham, who somehow seems to have transitioned from managing Partick Thistle to playing for Falkirk. Football's a mad world, Rodgers confirmed. He'll field a strong side tonight, but with one eye clearly on the European tie. He doesn't want the Livingston game sandwiched between the Kairat legs to be a first outing for anyone coming back from injury or still finding fitness. So we might see a few rotations tonight, but nothing drastic. Injuries are light, only 1 or 2 missing, and that opens the door for some of the newer faces to get minutes. Fans will be hoping to catch a glimpse of Hayato Aramura, or maybe Simpson Pugh getting a proper run out. Even Shuna Maeda, who's looked lively in training, could get some time off the bench. My gut tells me none of them start, but they could certainly feature late on depending on how the match goes. As for who starts in goal, it's gotta be Sinisalo. He's earned the right to be our cup keeper, and unless something drastic changes, he should keep that role all the way through. At the back, we're likely to see Alistair Johnston and Carter Vickers getting minutes. Both need sharpness. Trusty should slot in at centre back alongside Carter Vickers, with Liam Scales taking up the left back role. Midfield, McGregor starts? He always does. Around him, we might see Luke McCowan and maybe Engholm. Up front, Yang on the right, Maeda on the left, and my surprise pick, Johnny Kenny, through the middle. Just a hunch, mind you. Falkirk aren't to be taken lightly either. They gave us a fright last year, remember? Took the lead more than once before Celtic rallied. They've got experienced heads, a few wild cards, and absolutely nothing to lose. That makes them dangerous. Crowd-wise, it won't be a sellout. Cup games never are, especially not on a Friday night. But the numbers are looking solid. Expect something in the 43 to 44,000 range. Not bad at all, and enough to create a proper atmosphere when the lights come on. Referee. Duties fall to Lloyd Wilson, assisted by Chris Ray and Graham McNeil. John Beaton's on VAR. Let's hope for a smooth night on that front, shall we? So yeah, lots happening. A crucial stretch ahead for Celtic. European ambitions, domestic trophies, transfers, team rotations, it's all bubbling away. And tonight under the lights at Parkhead, we take another step forward. Now, while we're all gearing up for the match under the lights, there's also been plenty of buzz in the background about how this squad shapes up over the next week or two. I mean, we're sitting here on the edge of a huge European tie, trying to keep domestic momentum ticking over. And at the same time, we've got this slightly awkward transfer window dragging itself to a close where nothing's really happening. And yet everything could happen. Rodgers' tone yesterday made you wonder if maybe, just maybe, something's bubbling under the surface. He's not always the most revealing when it comes to transfer dealings, often brushing things off or pointing towards the recruitment team, but the slight shift in language, the use of hopefully rather than will see or I don't know is what's got folk talking. It might be nothing. But then again, if we've learned anything from watching Celtic operate in recent years, it's that things can go from silent to signed in a blink. Now, as for who could be going the other way, that's a bit of a guessing game. As it stands, the squad is tight. If we do want to bring in two will have to make way. You start looking at fringe players, those who've had limited minutes, younger guys who might benefit from a loan, or maybe even names we didn't expect. And that's before we get to the Days and Maeda rumors. Maeda's been the subject of quiet but persistent talk. Brentford's name keeps circling like a hawk, and there's even whispers that one or two other clubs are sniffing around. He's a player who doesn't always get the headlines, but brings so much intensity and discipline to the pitch. You lose. Someone like Maeda, you're not just losing a winger, you're losing a press machine, a relentless runner, someone who pulls full backs apart and drags defenders out of position. Rodgers says he's confident Maeda will stay. But again, what does confidence even mean in a transfer window? We've heard it all before. Not for sale. Going nowhere. Then boom, deal's done, player's gone, and you're left. Scrambling for a replacement, I'm not saying that'll happen here, but it's something we need to be ready for. You can tell Rodgers doesn't want to be caught short. He's been around the block too many times. He knows what European competition demands. If we're going to have 6 group stage matches, whether in the Champions League or the Europa, we need depth, real depth, and not just bodies for the sake of it. Quality, players that can slot straight into the 11 and raise the standard. We've seen before what happens when we gamble on a thin squad. It bites us, especially in Europe, where the margins are razor thin and the pace of the game is just that little bit sharper. That's why this week matters. Not just the Falkirk match, not just the home leg against Kairat, but the deals done or not done behind the scenes. Now shifting back to tonight, there's a lot of quiet excitement about seeing some of the new boys. Hayato Aramura in particular is someone fans are eager to get a proper look at. He's shown flashes in training, a bit of energy, a bit of guile, but we all know training clips mean nothing if you don't deliver under the lights. Simpson Pugh as well. Feels like folk have kind of forgotten about him a wee bit, but there's talent there. Young, raw, but definitely someone to keep an eye on. And then you've got Sean Maeda. Again, not a guaranteed starter by any means, but Rodgers has hinted we might see him off the bench. Amida's one of those players who could either light up the pitch with a burst of pace and direct running, or fade into the background if the tempo doesn't suit him. Tonight could be a decent test for him. Falkirk aren't mugs. They'll sit in, they'll try to frustrate, but they'll also have a go when the opportunity comes. It's the perfect environment to see what someone like Almeida is really made of. Of course, all eyes will be on how strong a lineup Rodgers actually fields. He's walking a bit of a tightrope. He needs to respect the cup. You don't want to get knocked out in your first match of the competition. That's just not acceptable. But at the same time, you've got a massive European fixture on the horizon and a tricky league match sandwiched between. He needs to rotate, but not too much. Balance is key, and you can sense that he's thinking long-term with some of his decisions, like with Alistair Johnston and Carter Vickers, 2 players who are coming back into rhythm after injuries or late starts. You don't want Livingston away being their first proper test. You want to ease them back in, maybe give them an hour tonight, let them build sharpness. Same with someone like Trusty, who's starting to look more assured every week. These are the kind of games that let you build partnerships without the pressure of European qualification hanging over every pass. Then there's the midfield. McGregor, as we said, will start. Always does. The man's a machine, but who joins him is where it gets interesting. Rodgers might use this as a chance to give more minutes to the likes of McCowan or Engholm. Both have shown promise, but neither have nailed down a starting role yet. These are the nights where players can grab a shirt and make it their own. Up top, Maeda on the left seems almost a given by necessity. We're not exactly spoiled for options there right now. And on the right, Yang feels like the obvious choice. It's through the middle where there's a bit of debate. Could be Adam Ida, could be Johnny Kenny. Might even see something creative, like Forrest drifting in or a false 9 approach. Personally, I love to see Kenny given a proper crack. He's got that spark, that hunger, and this is the kind of fixture where he might just catch fire. Looking back on last year's cup tie against Falkirk, it's worth remembering that they gave us a real fright. Took the lead twice, forced us to bring on the big guns from the bench. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. That's the thing. With cup ties, they don't care about league position or squad depth. It's 90 minutes of chaos. And if you're not up for it, you're going home. So while we talk about rotation, experimentation, giving young players a run, let's not forget the goal is still the same. Win, get through, move on. The League Cup might not be the most glamorous trophy in the cabinet, but it still counts. Still lifts morale, still buys you time when things aren't going well elsewhere. Now, stadium-wise, it's looking like a decent turnout. Friday night football always feels a bit different. The floodlights give it that special edge. It's not a sellout, but the lower tier is filling up nicely. A few gaps in the upper levels, sure, but we're probably looking at over 43,000 in the stands. Not bad for a non-season ticket match. And in terms of the atmosphere, these Friday nights can be magic. Folk are in good spirits, maybe had a pint after work. And you can feel the buzz before kickoff. Add in the chance to see new players, test different setups, and it becomes more than just another fixture. It becomes a proper occasion. One thing that always helps is getting an early goal. Settle the nerves. Let the team play with confidence. The longer Falkirk stay in it, the more they'll believe they can pull off something special. That's the danger. So I'll be looking. For a quick start, fast tempo, move the ball wide, and force them to chase shadows. And if the job gets done early, then you can really use the second half smartly. Bring on Aramura, let him stretch his legs. Give Simpson Pugh a proper run. Maybe even get Benji some minutes as he continues to build his fitness. That's how you manage a squad. By giving real minutes to the players who need them, not just token appearances in stoppage time. Also, can we just say how surreal it is that Scott Bain's lining up in goal for Falkirk tonight? It wasn't that long ago he was wearing the Celtic badge and pulling off saves in Europe. Now he's back at Parkhead, but on the other side of the fence. Football's funny like that. So yeah, big night. Not just because of what it means for this competition, but because of what it sets up for the week ahead. Win tonight and the mood lifts, confidence grows, players get sharp, and we march into the Kairat tie with real belief. Lose, and well, it's not worth thinking about. That's the kind of result that derails a season before it's even properly begun. So here we are, Friday night at Celtic Park, under the lights. Cup football, a team with history to protect and expectations to meet. Let's see what Brendan Rodgers has planned, who steps up, who grabs the moment, and who shows they're ready to be part of what's coming next. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The rumour mill in Glasgow has been churning faster than a pub tap on Derby Day, and the latest whispers suggest that Celtic have dipped deep into their coffers to bring in the towering Serbian centre-back, VELJKO MILOSAVLJEVIC. Supporters across the city have been buzzing, with some claiming this could be one of the most ambitious defensive signings in the club's recent history. While the Parkhead hierarchy have kept their cards close to their chest, sources close to the player insist that a substantial fee, reportedly in the multi-million-pound bracket, has been agreed in principle. Milosavljevic, just 22 years old but already boasting the physique and presence of a seasoned veteran, is said to have been on the radar of several European clubs before Celtic made their decisive move. The lad's combination of aerial dominance, precise tackling, and calmness under pressure has earned him the nickname the Serbian Wall among fans in Belgrade. And it seems the boys have acted swiftly to ensure he builds that wall in green and white hoops. There are even murmurs that he's already in the city undergoing final checks, with a potential unveiling being lined up for the weekend. Whether this all proves true remains to be seen, but the air in the East End crackles with possibility. If the speculation holds weight, VELJKO MILOSAVLJEVIC could represent not just a short-term reinforcement, but a foundational piece for Celtic's defensive line for years to come. At a time when European competition demands both physical resilience and tactical intelligence, the club appears to be investing in a player who ticks every box. The reported fee, which some insiders suggest could rival the largest defensive outlays in the club's history, signals intent from a board eager to match domestic dominance with continental credibility. Milosavljevic's performances in the Serbian Superliga have been nothing short of commanding, rarely beaten in the air, often stepping into midfield to initiate attacks, and capable of making last-ditch tackles that turn certain goals into mere chances. It's that blend of defensive grit and composed distribution that has caught the eye of scouts from England, Germany, and even Italy, yet somehow Celtic seem to have stolen a march on all of them. The player himself has reportedly expressed admiration for the club's European nights at Celtic Park, hinting in past interviews that such an atmosphere is precisely the kind of stage he craves. It's this alignment of ambition between club and player that fuels belief the move could be more than mere gossip. Still, until there's ink on the contract, these are stories to be told over pints and pie. Half fact, half hope. Those who have followed Milosavljevic's career speak of a defender forged not just in the competitive fires of Serbian football, but also in the uncompromising discipline of his upbringing in Novi Sad. Standing at 6'4" with a frame honed for physical battles, he's more than just a stopper. He's a leader in the making. Reports from Serbia describe a player who thrives under pressure, often relishing the responsibility of marshalling the backline against the toughest opponents. Coaches from his youth days speak of an insatiable appetite for improvement, with training sessions stretching long after the rest of the squad had hit the showers. That dedication, coupled with his natural athleticism, has seen him earn caps at youth international level, where he's faced some of Europe's brightest attacking talents. For Celtic, the rumored acquisition is as much about future-proofing the squad as it is about immediate impact. With several key defenders edging closer to the twilight of their careers, the introduction of a player with Milosavljevic's profile could mark the beginning of a defensive rebuild. And in a league where one slip can open the door for rivals, the timing of such a move feels as strategic as it is ambitious. While no official confirmation has emerged from the club, the buzz in the supporter base has been impossible to ignore. Social media has lit up with fan-created mock-ups of Milosavljevic in the famous hoops, complete with chants and slogans ready for his potential debut. There's a sense of cautious optimism, a recognition that while Celtic have had their share of transfer misses, the club's recent recruitment drive has shown sharper judgment. The potential signing has also stirred debate among pundits, with some questioning whether a player from the Serbian league can adapt quickly to the pace and physicality of Scottish football, while others argue his style is tailor-made for it. Those in the latter camp point to his comfort in high-tempo matches, his ability to play out from the back under pressure, and his knack for reading the game 2 steps ahead. If the deal does materialize, it could also serve as a statement to rivals Rangers that Celtic are not content with maintaining the status quo. Instead, they're willing to invest heavily in areas that can make the difference, not just domestically, but in European competition. That, more than anything, would make this rumored deal a significant moment in the club's ongoing evolution. It's perhaps telling that even without a single official word from Celtic, bookmakers have slashed the odds on Milosavljevic becoming the club's next signing. Such moves rarely happen without some inside knowledge trickling out, and it's only added fuel to the growing belief that this is more than idle gossip. In football, of course, nothing is certain until the contract is signed, the scarf is held aloft, and the press photos are taken. Yet there's a compelling logic behind this supposed transfer. Celtic's defensive record, while strong in domestic play, has shown cracks in Europe against sides with physical forwards and set-piece strength. Bringing in a player like Milosavljevic could be the answer to those persistent questions. More than that, it would inject fresh energy and competition into the squad, ensuring no player can take his place for granted. The Serbian's arrival, should it happen, would also underline the club's commitment to scouting talent beyond the traditional markets, a sign that the recruitment strategy is evolving. Until then, the faithful will wait, refreshing news feeds, scanning airport arrival boards, and holding on to the hope that the Serbian wall will soon be standing tall in the heart of Celtic's defense, ready to turn whispers into reality. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.